Hey guys, I'm back with our last video on doctrine. Now again, you're probably tired of hearing this, but these videos aren't meant to be in-depth look at each of these doctrines, but rather just overviews to help you start thinking through, okay, what is it I believe concerning this doctrine? So that being said, the last doctrine I want to talk about, guys, is communion, or the Lord's table. Now, there's not a fancy name for the doctrine of communion, but it is something that's pretty important, all right? Communion is one of the ordinances of the church. It's something that God, Christ, gave to the church and said, hey, you need to do this. When we talk about the doctrine of communion, there are several things that kind of fall into this, but the most important being, what is the purpose of communion? Why do we do communion or take the Lord's table? Some other things that kind of fall into this doctrine is who is supposed to partake in communion or participate in communion, who is supposed to give it, when is it supposed to happen? Is it just a symbol, or is there something that's kind of divine going on when we take communion? All of this, guys, falls into communion. Now that last one, is it just a symbol or is it something divine going on? What I'm talking about there's this debate between different denominations of communion being a symbol for Christ's body and Christ's blood versus being turned into Christ's actual body and actual blood. It's called something called transubstantiation, I believe, is what the theological term is, but it's another subset of communion and your belief therein. And basically, you got to ask yourself the question, okay, do I believe that the bread and the cup of juice that I'm taking during communion is just a symbol for something else? Or do I believe that it's not only a symbol, but it is also transformed into the thing it symbolizes? So all that falls into the doctrine of communion. And what does this affect? Well, it mainly affects how you approach communion, which is a pretty important thing once you understand what communion is and its purpose. But it mainly just affects how you view communion and that time when you take it with your church. A couple of questions to kind of wrap this video up to help you think through, okay, what is it I believe about communion? First, answer the question, what is the purpose of communion? Again, this is kind of foundational to the doctrine of communion. What is the purpose? Once you understand that, it kind of lays the groundwork for everything else. The second question I think you should really look at is communion a symbol or something more? Is communion a symbol or something more? And again, that kind of goes back to the symbolism versus transubstantiation debate. I'm pretty set on what I believe to be right, but I want you to look into it yourself and ask yourself that question. Is this a symbol, or is there something more going on when I take communion? So that's all I've got for you guys. This is our last video on doctrine, at least as of the time I'm recording it. I don't have any other plans for doctrine. If we continue to have the lockdown, which I'll know well before this video goes out, I'll be doing another series. I have no idea on what though, but I've enjoyed this series, guys. I hope you have too. I hope it has helped you begin to ask questions and start trying to figure out what you believe. Take care. I hope that I get to see you shortly after this video goes live, but if not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.